So good morning, class 10 batch. In the last class, we have discussed about the syllabus of history and civics class 10. So today we will start our first civics chapter, the Union Parliament. This chapter consists of 14 pages, and you can see in this chapter that I have given the notes, which is enough for your board exam, and the question which I have given you is covering the whole chapter, right? So I am starting the chapter, the Union Parliament. The Parliament. The Constitution of India lays down that there shall be Parliament for the Union. That means first you need to know what is Parliament. So Parliament is an institution in which the members of the Parliament meet together to discuss their policies, program, and their different issues. So the Constitution has given the rights to the central government that the elected representative of the people can meet together so that they can formulate and reformulate the laws for the people of India. So next we are moving to the next point, federal setup in India. What do you mean by federal setup? A federal setup involves a dual government, the national government and the government of the component state. That means the government is divided into national government or the central government or the union government and the government of provincial state. And the power is distributed between the legislative, executive, and financial power between the union and the state. That means in a federal setup, the two government do work in close collaboration of each other, and the power get distributed so that our country can run properly. Next, very important topic for the exam, I have already told you, the main constituents of the Indian Parliament. What is the composition of the Indian Parliament? The Parliament consists of the President and two houses to be known as the House of the People, renamed later as the Lok Sabha, and the Council of States, renamed later as the Rajya Sabha. That means the Parliament consists of, at the top, President, then the two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha members are directly elected by the people. Okay. The Union Parliament is incomplete without the President. President address either house or both houses and send messages to the Parliament. That means the Parliament is incomplete without the President. President is the head of the Parliament. Without President, Parliament cannot function their activities. Next, we are moving to the lower house, very important house in the context of Parliament is the Lok Sabha. The maximum strength of the Lok Sabha is 552 as provided by the Constitution. So the maximum strength should be remembered for the exam, which is 552. Among 552, 530 members represent the states and not more than 20 members shall represent the union territories. That means 530 members represent the states. From the states, from different states, 530 members are elected and 20 members are elected from the union territories. Two members of the Anglo-Indian community may be nominated by the president to the Lok Sabha if he feels that the community is not adequately represented. So, president can elect two members from the Anglo-Indian community if president feels that the house is not fully represented, not fully candidate having the same representation to run the activities. Next point, the house is constituted by direct election on the basis of universal adult franchise. Every person who has attained the age of 18 years is entitled to vote. That means the Lok Sabha members are directly elected by the people by the methods of universal adult franchise, which means a person having the age of 18 years and above have the right to elect the government according to his own choice, and government is for the people, by the people, and of the people. And that person can elect the government and run the country by the help of the government. And Lok Sabha is mainly get the power from the people. Next, we are discussing the qualification and disqualification of the members of the Lok Sabha. In order to be a member of the Lok Sabha, a person must be a citizen of India. That means every person need to be a citizen of India. That is the main self-identity or the identity of a person. The person should be 25 years of age. Why it was 25 years of age? Because without 25 years of age, a person doesn't attain the age of maturity, must possess such other qualification as may be prescribed under any law made by the parliament. So according to the rules and regulation of the parliament, the law, a person must possess the qualification which is necessary to be a member of the Lok Sabha. A person can be disqualified if one holds an office of profit under the government of India or any of states. So if person hold two offices together, then that person get disqualified. If a person is not capable of handling the situation in a peaceful way, if the person is having some problem, internal or external, that is the person is having unsound mind, then that person doesn't able to perform his role actively, then that person is removed from the office. If one is an undischarged insolvent, the person who is having any kind of misbehavior, that person also unable to become a qualified member of the Lok Sabha. If a person has ceased to be a citizen of India, if that person doesn't have the citizenship of India, then that person cannot perform the activities as a citizen of India. If one is so disqualified under any law made by the parliament. So the person can be disqualified to become a member of the Lok Sabha if the person is from any of the above points. Next, we are moving to the oath or affirmation by member. When a person takes oath, oath means promise. Affirmation means always we take promise in a positive note. So every member of the Lok Sabha and of the Rajya Sabha, before taking his seat, take an oath or make an affirmation before the president or some person appointed by him. So every member have to take an oath in front of the president, as the president is the first citizen of India, and perform his activities, and MP has to affirm that he will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India. Members of the parliament has to take an promise that he will do everything according to the rules of the Constitution. He should always uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India. That means always defend and protect the country, have to be given the freedom to all the people, sovereignty. He or she will faithfully discharge the duty upon which she is about to enter. So whatever the duty a person is taking, that person should be able to perform that duty properly so that it is easy for the government to run the country. Next, we are moving to the next topic, vacation of the seats. So when the house of the Lok Sabha became vacant, the seat of a member of either house become vacant in the following cases. If a member resign his seat by writing to the speaker or the chairman. So whenever we resign, we always give the note to the upper authority. So here, whenever a member resign his seat, he always write it to the speaker if it is in the Lok Sabha, or the chairman if it is in the Rajya Sabha. If a member is without permission of the house, absent from all the meeting for a period of 60 days, if a person is absent consecutively in 2 months, then that person is not able to represent the house. That person's seat became vacant. If a member becomes subject to any of the disqualification laid down in the constitution, that means if that person perform any misbehavior, then that person get removed from the seat. Next, we are discussing quorum. So we'd like to discuss in that portion. This is very important for the exam. A quorum is the minimum number of members required to be present before a meeting is allowed to begin. So before we start any meeting, we need to have a proper strength. So quorum means the minimum number which should be present in order to start any chapter, in order to start any session. The quorum to constitute a meeting of the house is 1/10 of the total number of members. 1:10 is the ratio of the quorum to hold any kind of meeting. Next, we would like to discuss Speaker of the Lok Sabha. So, from the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, we would like to discuss first how the Speaker get elected. The Speaker is elected by the House from among its members by a simple majority of members present and voting. That means Speaker get elected from among the person who gets maximum number of votes. And the Speaker holds office until he ceases to be a member of the House or until he himself resign his office. That means a speaker cannot be removed. Speaker removed from the office when that person or when that uh, performing representative person is not able to perform properly. Okay. Next, he can be removed from his office by a resolution passed by a majority of all the members of the House. That means whenever a speaker need to remove from the office, a person from both the houses need to give a two-third majority of the votes present and voting. Without the voting procedure, without the proper votes, it is not possible to remove the speaker. Next, we would like to discuss the function of the speaker. First function is regulate debates and proceeding of the House. So how speaker regulates the everyday debates among the members of the parliament and how speaker manage the House, maintain the discipline and decorum of the House. Speaker presides over the meeting of the House. Speaker always present in the meeting of the House. Speaker also sometimes decide the question of the members of the parliament and try to give a proper resolution to the members. All bills are of two types, ordinary bill and money bill. So all the bills passed by the House are authorized by his or her signature before they are sent to the Rajya Sabha for his consideration or to the president for his assent. So the bill, mainly the money bill, first introduced in the Lok Sabha and it is signed by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Then it is moved to the Rajya Sabha. After it is approved by the Rajya Sabha, then the Speaker from the Lok Sabha passes the bill to the President for his signature. If any question arises, whether a bill is a money bill or not, the decision of the speaker is final. So ultimately, the speaker is the head of the Lok Sabha who decides whether a bill is a money bill or not. Next, we would like to discuss disciplinary function. The speaker preserves order in the house. That means maintain the decorum and discipline in the house. If a word used in the debate are unparliamentary, unparliamentary means unlawful, not related to the cases of the parliament, the speaker may remove such words from the proceeding of the house. So the speaker has the right to remove any kind of words from the house which is unparliamentary. Next, we would like to discuss administrative function. That means how speaker communicate, how speaker collaborate among the members of the parliament and how the decisions are given by the speaker. The speaker communicates the decisions of the house to the concerned authorities and requests them to comply the decision. That is, speaker by using some kind of authority forcefully tell the members of the parliament that that person need to perform that activities and have to take the decision according to the wishes of the speaker. So next we would like to discuss the supervisory control over parliamentary committees. So what do you mean by supervisory? Supervisory means that the speaker supervises, try to maintain a control over the committees. Committees means small committees formulate in order to perform any kind of activities. So parliamentary committees are mainly controlled by the speaker. Speaker appoints chairperson of all committees of the house. The speaker actively appoints the chairperson of all committees of the house. The speaker is the ex officio chairperson of some of the committees of the house, such as business advisory committees is an example. So where the speaker is the ex officio chairperson used to perform, and as an ex officio chairperson, the speaker also try to formulate the business of the house. Next, you would like to discuss powers under the Anti-Defection Law, very important for the exam. Under the Anti-Defection Act of 1985, it is an act which was passed in 1985. And when it was passed, it was written, it was there was a provision that if there is a question as to whether a member of the Lok Sabha stand disqualified, the question is referred for the decision of the speaker. So ultimately, whether a member should be removed or not, that decision was taken by the speaker. His or her decision is final in this regard. So he is ultimately take the decision to remove the member of the Lok Sabha. Next, we would like to discuss Rajya Sabha, in which the most important part is composition. So, the Rajya Sabha, as we know, is also referred as Council of States, is the upper chamber of the Parliament. The Rajya Sabha consists of not more than 250 members. So, the strength is 250. The members are of two types, elected and nominated. So nominated members are mainly 12 in number. Who nominate these 12 members? President nominate this 12 member from among person who have special knowledge of practical experiences in matters of literature, science, art, and social service. So in that area where a person is having the full knowledge and skill to understand the subject, president-elect from those field, the person who has specialized knowledge and skill to formulate the art, literature, science, and take decisions properly. That means the members are 12 in number and they are nominated by the president from among persons who have special knowledge and skill in that area. The elected members are representative of the state and union territories. And the elected members who have come from voting procedure are mainly from the state and union territories like the Lok Sabha. States have been allocated to the states and the union territories on the population basis. So, I'm sorry, states, not seats. So, seats mainly are allocated according to the population. That means whenever you go to school, you have seen that how many benches are there, that much strength is in that section. So like that, seats are allocated according to the states. So according to the population basis, we appoint the members from a particular state. Next, we would like to discuss election procedure. The members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of the legislative assemblies of each state in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote. Very important. Members of the Rajya Sabha are elected. Who elect the member of the Rajya Sabha? Elected member of the legislative assembly of each state. That means in a state there is Vidhan Sabha, which is called legislative assembly. That members who are the member of the legislative assembly elect the member of the Rajya Sabha. How they elect? They elect with the system of proportional representation. That means the proportion of minimum votes. Single transferable vote. That means a single person will be having a single vote. Next, we would like to discuss tenure. So the Rajya Sabha consists of 245 members, of whom 12 are nominated by the president. This is the current strength of the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved by the President of India. President cannot dissolve the Rajya Sabha members. Why? Because Rajya Sabha members are permanent body. Why the Parliament has given the permanency to the Rajya Sabha? Because whenever the Lok Sabha dissolves, then the Rajya Sabha come to perform the activities of the Lok Sabha. It is a permanent body. One-third of its member retire at the end of every second year. It has a 6-year term. The tenure is 6 years in case of Rajya Sabha. Next, we would like to discuss qualification. Qualification is almost similar in comparison to Lok Sabha. Just a small difference is that 25 years age for the Lok Sabha, and in Rajya Sabha it is 30 years of age. Otherwise, the qualification is almost same in both Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. And you go to the disqualification is also same. So I have written here disqualification same as the Lok Sabha. Okay. So next we would like to discuss the presiding officer. So who is the presiding officer of the Rajya Sabha? The Vice President of India is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So who presides in the Lok Sabha? Speaker presides in the Lok Sabha, and Vice President is regarded as the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, presides over the Rajya Sabha meeting. The Rajya Sabha elects a deputy chairman. Deputy means whenever the main speaker, main chairman is absent, then somebody is deputed to that post to perform for a temporary period of time. It means temporary period is very important for a deputy word. Deputy chairperson from among its own member. So deputy chairperson is elected whenever the chairman is absent, then deputy chairman performs the activities of chairman. The deputy chairman presides at the sitting of the house in the absence of the chairman or during the period when the vice president is discharging the function of the president. So deputy chairman come into force, come into activity whenever the absence of the chairman is present. Whenever the chairman is absent from the house, whenever the chairman is not able to perform the activities in the house, then deputy chairman perform the activities of the chairman. Okay, and sometimes also we can see here the deputy chairman come into force whenever the vice president is unable to discharge the function of the president. Okay, so I have given some homework, and I've also given you that homework personally in your mobile text. So this question you need to solve and show it to me by next class. Okay, so see here I have given here all total 21, almost 25 question, right? From the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the Parliament. So next you would like to discuss, we are almost coming at the middle of portion of the chapter, the powers of the Union Parliament. The powers portion mainly come in the long question, as I have already discussed with you. So first we would like to discuss the legislative power. Legislative power means lawmaking power. So what type of law, what are the subject, what are the three lists there in the parliament? So we would like to discuss about this in the legislative power. Matters in the union list and the concurrent list. So list are of three types: union list, state list and concurrent list. Union list mainly consists of those subjects which are handled by the central government. State list consists of those subjects which are handled by the central, state and provincial government. And concurrent list consists of those subjects in which both the central and the state government work in close cooperation, and both that central and the state government have some profit. So the parliament has exclusive power to make laws with respect to matters mentioned in the union list. The state legislature have the right to make laws on subjects mentioned in the concurrent list. That means concurrent list mainly deal by the state legislature. That is the state assemblies or legislative assemblies, and union lists are mainly handled by the union and the central government. Next, we are discussing another point that is important for short question and as well as for the powers of the Union Parliament in legislative section. Residuary power. Residuary power means, residue means you know very well whatever is left behind. So whatever is left behind, you have the right on that portion. Suppose you have written a answer sheet and you have 2 lines left. You can go to the next page or you can write there. So you have the option. So like that, residuary power means those power in which parliament have that power, that right to make laws with respect to all those matters which are not mentioned in any of the 3 lines. That means the parliament has the right to take decision to give any viewpoint without taking help from any of the 3 lists. Clear? Next, we would like to discuss in the section of the legislative function of the Union Parliament, matter in the state list. So what kind of subjects are included in the state list? So the Parliament can legislate on subjects in the state list during the proclamation of an emergency. So during an emergency situation as we are facing now in this 2020 April. So in this situation, the Parliament can have the right to legislate on subjects which are declared as emergency. So in the introductory class, I have already discussed that emergency are of 3 types: national, financial and constitutional. So there are various cases in which this proclamation of emergency can be declared. So see here, when the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by a 2/3 majority that a subject in the state list has assumed national importance. This point is very important, and this point is also included in the exclusive domain of the House of the Rajya Sabha. Whenever we are going to the last section, we can see this is an exclusive function of the members of the Rajya Sabha, that Rajya Sabha can declare by the help of 2/3 majority of vote that the subject in the state list has assumed national importance. Okay. Next, see, when two or more states desire that the parliament should legislate on a subject given in the state list. Whenever two or more states think that the parliament should legislate on subjects which are in the state list, then that can be formulated, that is also included in the legislative function of the parliament. Okay. So next we are moving on a topic, ordinances. Ordinances comes for the short question. The president may promulgate an ordinance. When can president promulgate an ordinance? Ordinance is nothing but an unparliamentary law. So this unparliamentary law can be promulgated by the president when the parliament is not in session. Whenever the parliament is absent, parliament means the Lok Sabha is absent from the house, then president can promulgate an ordinance, and all ordinances must be laid before both the house for their approval. So whenever the Lok Sabha come into force, come into session again, then the approval should be there. Where if the Lok Sabha doesn't approve the ordinance, the unparliamentary law, then that is declared as null and void. Ordinances cease to operate at the expiration of 6 weeks from the reassembly of the parliament. So ordinances doesn't operate whenever the 6 weeks expire, and that was not approved by the houses. Next, we are moving to the next topic totally, control over national finances. How the members of the parliament or how the union parliament control the national finance. So in this section, we would like to discuss money bill. Very important for ICSE candidate. A money bill always introduced in the Lok Sabha. Then from the Lok Sabha, it goes to the Rajya Sabha for recommendation for approval. If the Rajya Sabha return the bill, then it's very fine. Okay. And if the Rajya Sabha feel that the bill need to be reformulated, then it must return the bill to the Lok Sabha within a period of 14 days with its recommendation. The Lok Sabha is free to accept or reject the recommendation. That means Rajya Sabha's recommendation is hardly important in Union Parliament or in the money bill. So Lok Sabha is free to decide whether to accept the approval of the Rajya Sabha or to reject the approval of the Rajya Sabha. Next, we would like to discuss the budget. The parliament passes the union budget. Budget is very important. Without having an annual budget, you cannot run your country. So budget is necessary to be estimated, and budget is nothing but the expenditure and the receipts of the government of India. How much the government need to invest, need to expend for the people, and how much it need to save for the people in case of national emergency. That is called budget. Next, we would like to discuss supplementary grant. Very important. Supplementary means not compulsory. You have a supplementary, you can have anyone, and grant means help. If the amount authorized for the current financial year is found to be insufficient, the government may make a fresh demand known as supplementary grant. তার মানে দেখো এটা বলতে চাইছে যেটা সেটা হচ্ছে যে whatever amount we are having in our hand and that is not enough to run the current financial year, now we are facing the problem. The government sometimes demand more, that is supplementary grant. Nowadays, not nowadays, now the government is demanding more loan. So bank is giving loan to the government and government can give loan to the people. Unless the government is able to give loan to the people with the help of RBI, it is not possible to run the country. Like that, that is a supplementary grant. Whenever the situation is going worse, whenever the government know that it is not possible to run the country, the amount is insufficient, then the government can demand more grant from the higher authority. Next, we would like to discuss vote on account. If the budget is not passed before the beginning of the new financial year, now we are facing same problem. So in the beginning of the April session, the budget is not passed. Every time we will see that budget mainly passed at the month of April. So if the budget is not passed before the beginning of the new financial year, then there would be no money for the executive to spend. Without money, you cannot perform any administrative activities. Without money, you cannot do anything in your life. So it is very much important that budget is passed before the beginning of the financial year. And if there would be no money for the executive to spend, then a device was used known as vote on account, which authorized the executive to draw funds from the consolidated fund until the budget was passed by the parliament. So we can see here that budget was there in the consolidated fund from where the salary of the minister was given, and whenever the government feel that it is an emergency situation, it is not possible to run the country properly, then the government can take fund from the consolidated fund to run the country and to run the activities of the parliament. Okay. Next, we would going to the next heading, control over the executive. So how the Union Parliament control the executive department, how the ministers work according to their activities, according to their proclaimed work. The Council of Minister is the main portion. Council of Minister is collectively responsible to the Prime Minister. And among the Council of Minister, there are Cabinet Minister who work in close cooperation, and they are very much close to the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister always infer the decision to the President. The Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the House of the People, that is the Lok Sabha. The first, we would like to discuss the question hour. So what is question hour? What is adjournment motion? These are nothing but the motion, the activities, the way by which the executive perform the activities. Okay. The first hour of a sitting in both houses is allotted for asking and answering question. So the first hour of sitting in both houses is allotted for asking and answering of the question. So in the question hour, we can see that there is the first hour. So whenever we take classes in school, we can see that the teacher first asks 1 hour for solving your question. Thus, in the parliament also, the first hour of sitting is allotted for asking and answering of the question. What is the purpose of this? The purpose of the question is to obtain information on a matter of public importance or to ventilate a grievance. So some minister may have some grievance against another minister. That uh, information get ventilated, the grievances get solved. So that question hour is allotted in order to get some information which is of public importance, which creates public opinion. The question hour keeps the minister on their toes. How it keep the minister on their toes? That means the minister can ask any type of question, they can solve any type of matter, and they are free to ask their problem, to ask answer from other minister. It is a protection against injustice on the part of the government. That means the decisions, the activities, the promulgation, the reformulation of decisions are discussed in the parliament during the question hour. Next, we are moving to the adjournment motion. Adjourn means the meeting was adjourned. Today, the class will be adjourned. That means the class will be dissolved. So, an adjournment motion pinpoints the failure of the government in the performance of its duties. So, whenever the government is unable to perform its duties, then that government was removed and that government was regarded as a failure. The adjournment motion can be passed while killing of a senior IPS officer in a place of worship. So when can adjournment motion be passed against the members of the Lok Sabha? When some IPS officer get killed in the place of religion worship place. Okay. So adjournment motion is nothing else but it pinpoints the failure of the government and its duties. Next, you would like to discuss censure motion. Every motion is important for exam, and this every motion usually come in the short question as well in the long question. Censure motion may be moved against a group of minister or an individual minister expressing a strong disapproval of their policy or some deed. So whenever we do any kind of project in our school, in our exhibition, we can see that whenever we work in group, there are friendliness, and whenever any fault is done by any one member, that fault goes to the whole group. So like that, in a censure motion can be passed against a group of minister or against a single minister. And how it helps to run the country, censure motion express the disapproval of the policy of the government. Okay, and that means whenever the government is performing any policy which is not acceptable by the people, then that policy get resigned, and government also resign for some days. Next, you would like to discuss no confidence motion. No confidence means lack of confidence. So this motion is passed against the council of minister members only when only whenever whenever the members of the parliament feel that the council of minister is lacking the confidence among themselves, and that time the council of minister, if doesn't able to perform the activities, that means the prime minister has no role to play. Prime minister have an identity due to the council of minister. If the council of minister having less confidence, lost the confidence, the prime minister has to resign and the council of minister together. Understood? Next, we would like to discuss electoral function. That means how the speaker, the vice president, the president get elected. Elected member of both the houses of the parliament can member of the legislative assembly elect the president of India. So I've already discussed with this election, I've already discussed the election of speaker, election of the president, election of the members of the Lok Sabha. So this is normal. Okay. Next is judicial power. Very important. Judicial power means the way of removing the president, vice president, minister is same for everybody. But before law, everybody is same. Okay, everybody has to bear the same punishment. So this punishment is called impeachment. Okay, impeachment is a new term. Impeachment means whenever the president do any proved misbehavior, then a resolution passed against that president, and that president can appoint a lawyer like every person and can defend himself. But if both the house of the parliament by a two-third majority of votes give, suggest or investigate or charge that president has done that fault, then the president is resigned. So see what is there in the judicial power. The president can be removed from his office by impeachment. So what is impeachment? A resolution accusing the president may be initiated in either house of the parliament. So that resolution, that impeachment resolution can be passed by both the houses of the parliament. And it passed by a majority of two-thirds members present and voting. The charge investigate by the other house. Whenever Lok Sabha pass this resolution that president has done any kind of misdeed, then the Rajya Sabha has to look after that thing. Rajya Sabha has to give vote. If the president find guilty, the impeachment succeed and the president is removed from his office. Okay. So we are almost at the end of the chapter. Powers exclusively in the domain of the Lok Sabha. So financial matters, you know very well that money bill first introduced in the Lok Sabha. Whenever the money bill goes to the Lok Sabha, it passed to the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha has to give recommendation within 14 days. If it is not passed the bill, then it is deemed to have been passed by the Lok Sabha. Next, responsibility of the Council of Minister. I have already discussed how Council of Minister is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha, how they perform the activities by passing various kinds of motion. Next, we would like to discuss the ending portion of the chapter, powers exclusively in the domain of the Rajya Sabha. So see here, this topic, now you can relate. I've already told in the first portion, making of law on a matter in the state list in the national interest. So Rajya Sabha has that power to declare any law as a national interest for the parliament to enact in the state list. So Rajya Sabha need to pass a resolution by again two-thirds majority of the vote to the parliament to approve that the subject in the state list has some national importance. Okay. Next point, creation of one or more all India services. So creation of one or more all India service means that Rajya Sabha again by a two-thirds majority of vote can declare any kind of services in the necessity of national interest to create all India service. That means whenever any kind of service is national interest, national importance, then that service can be declared as all India service. And in this way, Parliament can create new services for the people, and that is helpful for our country's development. So we are ending almost the chapter, and in the last section, I have given some question. See here, I have also given you the question personally in your text. So you solve this question, and you are always welcome to discuss your problem with me. After you complete this question, I would like to go to the next chapter, which is the Union Executive. So thank you, class.